What's good, Ms.Fit Murder F Gang? This is my dumb advice. Bow. Hey yo man, what's good? Ms.Fit in the motherfucking building. Thank you to all my subscribers. I really appreciate the love. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe link. Not only that, shout out to all my members, part of the, Get Done Smart crew. Really appreciate the love. And if you don't know what memberships are yet, press the join button and it'll tell you all about it. Check it out. If you support the brand, if you support the show, and if you like the episode, follow me on social media at Ms.Fit on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter, Ms.Fit1. Stay up to date, stay in tune. So today's topic, let's get right into it. Today's topic is how to build your credit. Now this episode is super important because more and more I realize that a lot of people just don't know how to get their credit up. Or if they fell on hard times, they kind of messed up their credit and don't know how to get back right. And I get a lot of feedback from my followers and subscribers and fans, and they're always asking me about credit. How did you achieve good credit? How could I achieve that? Now, this is what I figured, I do a video so I could spread the love. If anybody was like me and you grew up in the hood, you grew up in the hood, we didn't have a lot of people telling us, yo, you gotta have good credit. We had more people telling us, yo, get your cash right, get your money up and cash out. You know what I mean? Buy big chains, buy, shit like that. But I feel like how I can give back is give what I learned down the line that helped better my life. And I absolutely feel like having a great credit score has really changed my life. So, let's get right into it. So the first things you need to know when it comes to credit, there is 3 credit bureaus, right? That's Transunion, Equifax, and Experian. If you're familiar with Credit Karma, they give you a Transunion score and your Equifax score. Now these credit bureaus pile up your history, your credit history, and they distribute it to the lenders. And this is how the lenders determine if they're going to give you credit. Now, if you had a bad history, if you're not paying your bills on time, if you just letting your accounts go delinquent, then they accumulate this information, and the next time a lender wants to lend you something, they go to that, and if it's no good, you're going to get denied. Now, what people don't know is your FICO score. Now, your FICO score is more important than your Transunion, your Equifax, and Experian. Why? Because FICO is not a credit union. It's not a credit bureau. It actually populates the information from all 3 of those credit bureaus, and they distribute that to lenders. So, just to be clear, what the credit score you want to work on is that FICO score, because that's what people are looking at when you're getting an apartment, when you're getting a house, when you're getting a vehicle. That FICO score is the strongest score and the one that people most look to. Now, in order to, get your FICO score up, of course, you have to make sure you're handling your credit and handling that TransUnion. That's why if you check your FICO score, most of the time, it's lower than your actual score, your TransUnion or your Equifax or whatever the case may be. So if you want to focus on credit scores, focus on that FICO. Now, there's 2 things. You can either have bad credit, meaning, you fell on hard times and it kind of ruined your credit, or you could have no credit at all. Both are just as bad, right? So if you have no credit, that means you have bad credit. It's still a bad credit score. So if you have no credit, what you should be investing your money into is a secure credit card. And what a secure credit card is basically a debit card. You put your money onto this card and you use it and you pay yourself back. Now, this is a way for lenders to see that you could pay bills back. So what you want to do with the secure credit card, you want to use it for literally everything. So, I know some places like, Capital One, they offer secure credit cards. and they usually started at like 300 to 500, which is great. So you take 300 of your own cash, you put it into this card, and you use it. But make sure you use it wisely, because if you don't, then you end up in a bad situation, right? But what's more important than all of this is having a source of income. If you don't have a source of income, then it's going to be impossible for you to pay these cards back if you're not getting money from anywhere. So whether you're flipping burgers or, working independently or, entrepreneur, whatever your hustle is, make sure it's consistent. Because if you don't have cash flow coming in, then it's going to be really tough for you to start paying bills, right? So, besides having an income, right? So that should be actually the first step, is having good income. After you've gotten a secure credit card, you're spending it, you're using it on everything, you're paying it back, you should be able to accumulate enough credit where your credit score goes up for you to get an actual credit card. Now, you get your first credit card. I usually recommend Capital One or something of that stature. In my experience, just American Express and Chase, they're a lot less lenient than places like Capital One when it comes to getting a credit card when your credit is not necessarily established yet. I've recommended it to a lot of my friends, and they've done it, and they moved on from there, and it works. So I would say do the same. You get a Capital One, they start you at like $300. Then usually they have a program. Within 6 months, if you pay your bills on time consecutively, they will raise your credit limit. So after 6 months, they usually take you from like 300 to 500. Bam. Then probably like another 6 months, they'll move you to 800, 1,000. So you keep using that card. Again, it's important that you use this card for everything. Like, literally, you go to the supermarket, use your credit card. You're buying fucking clothing, use your credit card. Because using cash literally does nothing for you or your credit, so it's a waste of time. Nobody that has good credit, at least for me, is using straight cash. Why? Because it doesn't give them anything, right? So once you've accumulated enough credit on that Capital One card, you're at maybe like 2,000, 3,000 credit limit, your credit score should be high enough for you to apply to other cards, right? So yes, the more credit cards you have, the better, right? So it's okay to get multiple credit cards. Just keep in mind, every time you run your credit, it lowers your credit scores. And when you run your credit, it's considered a hard inquiry. And the more hard inquiries you have, the less your credit score will be. So you want to space those out. You don't want to have hard inquiry on top of hard inquiry. No, that's no bueno. Because those things stay on your credit score for at least 7 years. And 7 years is a pretty long time when you're trying to build your credit. So minimize your hard inquiries. Only run your credit when it's absolutely necessary. I know sometimes we go to stores and they're like, yeah, run your credit. See if you qualify for our card and we'll give you a 10% discount. And at the moment, 10% discount sounds good, but it ain't worth the hard inquiry. So look, keep your card mints. I don't want it. Hold it down. So yeah, don't feed into that bullshit. Because at the end of the day, they just try and work their commission. They try and work you. It's not good for you. Don't run your credit. After you already have, a solidified credit card, and I probably say it's probably been a year or so, then I think it's safe for you to get another credit card. I recommend Chase credit cards. Why? Because I believe they have the best cashback rewards, for when you're trying to build your credit. Now, cashback is a huge deal. Why? Because every time you make a purchase, you get money back from that purchase. This is why I said using cash makes absolutely no fucking sense. Because when you're using cash, you ain't getting money back. When you use your credit card and you getting cash back, they're paying you to do what you finna do anyway. So when I buy gas, I'm getting 2% on that cash back. And that cash back accumulates. And that could be another source of income for you in order to pay your credit cards off. And that's what I steady do. Like with each credit card, for instance, a Chase credit card. If you every month They give you different stores that allow you to get cash back at a higher rate. For instance, like 5% back. And maybe this month would be, I don't know, PB Gas or Red Lobster or whatever. Anywhere, you just look at those list of stores and see, okay, cool. And, now I know this month, if I plan on going to any of these places, I should use this credit card so I can get cash back. So cash back is hella good. I recommend it. Use it to your advantage, and use it to bring back money for you to pay off those debts. So boom, you got another credit card. Again, use that card for everything. Do not use cash. Use it at the grocery store. Use it whenever you can. But you have to pay the bill on time. And not just that, I recommend you pay more than the minimum balance. Because with every credit card, there's interest. And the last thing you want to do is continue to pay the minimum, and then they're adding interest to it. And in that situation, you're never going to get out of debt. You're going to be paying off, and then they're adding a price. Paying off, and then they're adding a price. And it's going to take way longer for you to pay off the card than it should. So I recommend never making a purchase that you cannot pay back immediately. So if you know it's not in your budget to drop $5,000 on something, don't spend $5,000. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just, you're always going to be playing catch up. And that's how most people end up with bad credit. They make purchases that they can't afford and they can't pay back on time. And then the interest is adding it up on it. And now that debt is getting so farther away from them. So you don't want to dig yourself into that hole. Cool. Now you use that card and you build that credit score and you build that limit. Once that limit starts to increase, now you're at 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. Maybe your limit will go up to 10,000 the more you use it. Now I say it's time for you to get another credit card. Because like I said, I have about 15 to 17 credit cards. And why? Because the more credit cards you have, the more the lenders are like, oh, you know what I mean? It's like, think about it like, like a loan shark or one of your homies that borrow money from you. Now, if your boy is asking you to lend $100, you're like, damn, let's see, is his credit good? Well, he borrowed money from Danielle, and he borrowed money from Lisa, and he borrowed money from Kim, and he paid them all back. So I guess it's safe for me to lend him some money. Same concept with these lenders. They want to see that other people are giving you money. If they see that nobody's out here lending you bread, they ain't finna lend you bread either. They're gonna make the best choice for their company, the best choice, and the best the best results. You know what I'm saying? So keep that in mind every time. Now another thing that can help your credit, and it is probably the most important, and it has the biggest effect on your credit score, and that, my friend, is utilization. Never under any circumstances should you be aiming to use more than 30% of your credit cards. So say, for lack of mathematics, if you have $100 limit on a credit card, never spend more than $30. Because when your utilization goes up, that's a red flag. Like, hey, why are you spending so much of this credit? What is going on here? We don't like this. We're going to lower your credit score. But the more credit you have, the higher that 30% goes. You know what I'm saying? So your objective is to make sure these credit cards, you work them so you get a high limit, so that 30% is something reasonable where you could actually make a purchase. You know what I mean? Of course, there might be times where you go over 30%. Cool. As long as you can keep it down in the near future, that is how you should handle it. You know what I mean? But if you're aiming for good credit, I will always aim to keep that down 30%. 30%. Never forget that. 30%. You know what I mean? The limit's 1,000, it's 300. 30%. Cool? Alright. Besides that, you want to make sure you get the best interest rate. Now, most of the time when you're just starting to build your credit, they're giving you high interest rates, right? So that could really suck. But eventually, when you've already built your credit and you start getting more cards and things like that, you could always transfer those balances to another credit card with a lower interest rate. For instance, let's talk about that Capital One card that you got in the beginning. Let's say their interest rate, 15%. That's a lot, right? And of course, you couldn't get a better interest rate because you were just starting, it wasn't good for you. Cool. You can, now that you've already established a good credit score, you can get another credit card and you can get a lower interest rate, because now that new credit card sees all your history and is like, oh, you have good credit. I want to lend you money. I want to give you a better interest rate. So they give you a lower interest rate. And if you still have money that you're owing and it's hard for you to pay off because the interest is so high, you could always transfer that balance to the new credit card so that your interest is lower and you can pay it off, without such high interest going towards you, right? So, that always helps a lot. And if you have bad credit and you're just trying to get out of it, right? Technically, like I said, this is all just based on my experience. So I've never been in a situation where I had bad credit, but what I see that helps a lot of folks is a one-time loan. So if you have all these credit cards and you just owe all this money and there's different interest rates and you're just like swamped with credit cards and balances, what you probably should do is get a one-time loan that is big enough to pay off all those credit cards, and then now you only have to pay one person back with one interest rate. So that can help a great deal. So a lot of the times, Credit Karma is really good because they'll recommend like things that is more likely for you to be approved for. They'll tell you your odds. Like, hey, if you apply for this credit card, your odds is type slim. Or if you apply for this credit card, it's a good chance you might get it. So, that really helps. So, Get Credit Karma is free. They should write me a check. But at the end of the day, I just want to help y'all. So I think that's a really good system for you to follow by. And let's be clear. When I said, don't run your credit, and I'm only saying this because I've had somebody who reached out to me and kind of was like, I don't want to check my credit on Credit Karma because it's going to hit me as a hard inquiry. No, Credit Karma is not running your credit. They're just giving you your credit history or your statistics on where you are with all your debt. So, that's not considered a hard inquiry. Like I said, hard inquiries are like when you're getting a house, when lenders are trying to see your credit. Again, remember that FICO score is strong, is what matters. So make sure you get that credit score up. Another thing that I find useful is look into cards that have financing programs with no interest. I think this helps a lot. So it can get you a credit card, but it also helps you stay out of debt by giving you a financing program. Like for instance, right? If you're somebody who buys a lot of technology, shit like Best Buy. I know Best Buy offers, I believe, I want to say 12 months financing program. So pretty much what that is, hey, you make a purchase and before they start charging you interest, they give you a time to pay it off. So whether it's 6 months or a year or 18 months or whatever the case may be, that's really good because you're financing without interest. That's the best kind of finance that there is. So you want to buy a fucking computer. You swipe it, put it on, hey, and you can separate that, say 6 months. All right, cool. So you're going to have to pay whatever, $50 for the next 12 months with no interest. That's good. That's good because no, you don't want to drag it to 12 months, but at least if you had to take a year to pay this thing off, you won't get any interest. Another one that's pretty good is PayPal. And PayPal is really dope. I like it a lot because a lot of stuff online uses PayPal. You know what I'm saying? So you could get a PayPal credit card that gives you about 6 months to pay things off. And how convenient is that when most of the shit we buy online is already on PayPal? So you use the PayPal credit card, you get that 6 months financing. Also, Amazon has the financing program. That Prime shit is legit. If you're somebody who's like lives and dies by Amazon, then getting this Amazon card is gonna benefit you because one, it gives you points, so you could get money back. And it gives you that financing program, so you could pay your shit off without interest. That's super good. You can add this to your collection of credit cards that's gonna benefit you. You know what I'm saying? So remember, keep that interest low. Use the cards that have financing programs if you feel like it's gonna take you a while to pay it off. Yeah, man. I feel like, you know, those are quick tips to try to get your credit up. And you know, something that really helped me boost my credit big time was when I bought a car. That's a big ass loan, right? So when you get a car and you have a big loan and you pay it off, your credit score skyrockets because they're like, yo, you just paid me back 50,000 or 20,000 or 10,000. You know, those are huge, you know, credit lines of credit. So if you can pay those off, you know, that's a really good look. And, you know, a lot of the times when you don't have any credit, you know, credit lenders like to get a car and stuff. They're very reluctant to give you credit, but not really. They'll give you credit, but they'll give you a horrible interest rate. And they also would make you pay a lot up front, right? So, yeah, you know what I mean? It's always good. You know, what helps a lot of people is getting a co-signer, somebody who could co-sign for you and say, hey, this person is legit and I'm willing to sacrifice my credit to get this person something, so that could get you started. You know, so maybe you have a family member that has good credit, so they could kind of jumpstart your credit situation. That's always an option as well. But, you know, hopefully these tips, you know, helps. And if you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. I'll, you know, as much as I know, I'll always provide that information. I really appreciate everybody watching. Of course, you know, all my subscribers, everybody tuning in, my members, the Get Them Smart crew. It's been a really good time, you know, getting the feedback from everybody. And that membership is strong, man. Remember, you get one-on-ones with me every Sunday. So make sure you check out the meet and greet membership. It's definitely one for the books, man. But again, thank you for supporting. It's Ms.Fit, Murder F Gang. This is my dumb advice. Bow.
Didn't I treat you right? Yeah. Didn't I do the best I could? Did the best that I could. Didn't I give you everything? Yeah. Try my best just to be a man.
Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize a million times for all the lies that I've given the women in my life. It's only right that the love I couldn't epitomize, but it's more than love. Love is never a friend of mine. I gotta start with my first. Did it or worse? Did a dirt, a jerk, and yet I wanted it to work. But I was so damn immature. She couldn't play these kid games anymore. She shut the door. Next chick, she reckless, the most beautiful smile. I hope I make a good impression. And once I felt we were destined, but then I jumped to another, had some other intentions. But we fucked crazy like, you my baby, right? But it was over still, she couldn't stay my wife. I would die to give it another try, but I fucked up, girl, didn't I?
Didn't I treat you right?
Didn't I?
Didn't I do the best I could?
Didn't I?
Didn't I give you everything?
Didn't I? Baby, didn't
Try my best just to be a man.
Didn't I? Yeah, new girlfriend, I guess I did it again. I cheated and cheated and cheated like he never would end. She needed, and I never put in. Repeated, deceiving, defeating, we were better as friends. Oh, now I'm thinking, when will karma get me? I dated karma, still karma hit me, but I don't respond to trickery. Off guard, I had no armor with me. Met a girl, she was boss, I was on her quickly. Now it's been about a year, I gotta get up out of here. Hope you just clearing what I got ain't worth $1 there. Ain't give a shit and now some Now I know what I put him through and what I took him through. I shouldn't have played with that. I should have thunk of you. For you